Is this for real? It is a free tour. I don't know if you could tell, but I am totally blown away right now. This is incredible. No affiliates, no sponsorship. I'm not being paid for this. I seriously just stumbled across it. Ooh, nearly fell down the Great Wall of China. There are few places on earth that stir the imagination like the Great Wall of China. Walking the wall has always been on my bucket list, but it always seemed like a bit of a dream. I mean, when would I have the budget for a trip to China? But today I'm not just walking the wall, I'm going to show you how you can do it too for free. So excited! I did not think I was ever going to be able to do this, so I am just over the moon. Hi, I'm Justine, the nerdy half of the Breakaway Braveheart, and I'm in China. I'm in Beijing. I just arrived here off a 10-hour flight. I'm a little bit sleepy because I didn't get any sleep at all. And I'm here on transit, and I had thought that I was going to have 19 hours in an airport. As far as airports go, Beijing is pretty good, with some interesting areas and even an exhibition on Chinese calligraphy. But as lovely as this airport is, I still wasn't looking forward to a 20-hour waiting game. And then I discovered this absolute game changer. Coming through the transit area, I came across this sign advertising free layover tours. Look out for these. Honestly, I thought it looked too good to be true. But thanks to trip.com, I'm about to take you with me on one of those spontaneous, once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. It turns out Beijing offer free tours for transit customers. All you have to do is turn up and sign in. It's actually a little bit more of a rigmarole, but they're really helpful and will help you through. And throughout the video, I'll give you all the information that you need and some extra tips as well. First tip, don't hang around. Go straight to the trip.com desk because you can't pre-register and it's first come, first served. Make sure you head straight there because it's popular and you've got to be there to be in. They open an hour before each tour starts, but when I arrived 2 hours before the tour, there were already a couple of people waiting. There's two types of tours. I only have time for the Great Wall of China. So excited. I did not think I was ever going to be able to do this, so I am just over the moon. But in the afternoon, there is a city highlights tour as well, so if you've got time for that, perhaps go for both of them. So if you're worried that you won't make it in time, there are paid tours you can book in advance, and I've popped this info in the description below. But you might want to watch the full video first to get an idea of what to expect before you commit to paying. You have to download the trip.com app, put in all your details and stuff like that. To be eligible, you need to have a layover of at least 8 hours, and you'll need to show your boarding pass for your outgoing flight. They'll let you know if you have time for the tours. Okay, I'm going back to wait for my turn. I'll see you soon. The drive out is in a comfy wee van and it takes about 1.5 hours. The view is mostly motorway, but you do start to get your first glimpses of the mountains. The only thing I would have enjoyed more of is more information. The tour guide did give us a brief background in the tour bus, but seriously only 10 minutes worth. I'm guessing if you're Chinese, you know your history already, but I don't feel like I know enough. So I'm going to do some more research and give you guys the skinny. After 2,000 years, the wall has managed to build up a wealth of fascinating stories, mysteries, and controversies. And our subscribers know that I love my historical gossip. What a stunning piece of history. This is just a treasure. Which reminds me to thank you all. Without you, I would never have an opportunity like this to share with others. If you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to do so now and hit the notifications bell. Once you arrive, your guide will take you to the main entrance and the ticket booth. They pay for your tickets. Along the way, there are souvenir shops, etc., but it's unlikely that you'll be given time for this. And considering you only have 1.5 hours to walk the wall, you don't want to cut into this time too early. We arrived at the wall around 9 AM, so the crowds were only just beginning, but you'll see from my footage later that it does fill up pretty quickly. I don't know why, but I forgot to expect the stunning beauty of China. These layers of mountains behind me are absolutely gorgeous. And of course, there is no better view than from the wall. The Great Wall of China, or Changjiang, isn't actually a single barrier. It's a series of fortifications that were built by different dynasties over nearly 2,500 years. It started as modest earthworks and ditches, and then it was all gradually strengthened and grown. Warring states like Chu, Xin, and Shi built separate border fortifications, desperate to keep out nomadic raiders from the north. And then Qin Shi Huang unified China's states in 221 BCE, and he set about joining and expanding all the separate walls to create this mammoth earth dragon that stretches across 21,196 kilometers. That's over 13,000 miles. That's close to half the Earth's circumference worth of wall, winding through mountains and deserts from Gansu to Manchuria.
And that's just the first tower. There are so many more towers. I don't know if you could tell, but I am totally blown away right now. This is incredible.
Of course, building a wall on such terrain as beautiful as it is was far from easy. In fact, wall labour was more of a punishment than a career choice. Every citizen technically owed the emperor 1 year of labour, but this was negotiable if you had the money to bribe or buy yourself release, meaning the poor took the brunt and the wealthy could pay someone else to serve for them.
Go turn the camera around so you can see what I can see.
Prisoners were also used to build the wall. Crimes punishable by wall labour ranged from theft and tax offences to violent crime, but political prisoners and those suspected of anti-state activities also ended up in this brutal system. Over 400,000 deaths are estimated from the wall's construction, and legend claims many were buried within the wall, earning it the nickname the world's longest cemetery. However, this is actually just unfounded gossip. There is no archaeological evidence to support it.
It's not an easy climb. This bit is very steep. I'm basically on my tiptoes now, just trying to balance as I walk up what seems like... It's not perpendicular, but it seems that way.
Early segments were made from rammed earth, sometimes said to be mixed with sticky rice. Apparently the starch in the rice makes it strong, flexible, and water resistant. And it's the secret to keeping the wall looking so good, despite earthquakes and centuries of weathering.
And you can see the depths as thousands upon millions of people's shoes have worn away the stone. And now I'm starting to puff because this is steep.
I'm walking up to the towers on the Budeling section. The angle here can reach up to around 60 degrees. But in the mountainous regions, the incline reaches up to 80 degrees. There's one part of the wall that snakes along nearly 1,500 meters above sea level, and it can be a dangerous hike rather than a slightly challenging walk.
Okay, made it to the first tower. A little bit out of breath. In my defense, I've only had like an hour's sleep.
One of the first things you notice as you pass the stones on the Great Wall is all the lettering carved into them. And at first, my European cynicism assumed it was all random graffiti. But actually, back in the Ming Dynasty days, the bricks were stamped or carved with the names of the workers or the brand of kiln that made them. So these original inscriptions are like little historical fingerprints, giving us clues about the people who built this magnificent structure.
This is insanely, fantastically beautiful. You can look out through the windows, the arches of the tower, and see right across that beautiful landscape.
However, it is now mixed with the graffiti of tourists, and it's a big conservation headache. Despite rules against damaging the wall, some visitors don't resist leaving their mark. Officials have talked about creating special graffiti zones, which I think would be rather cool, allowing visitors to add to the conversation throughout time. What do you think? Should tourists be allowed to add their bit, or should the wall be preserved exactly as is? Leave me your thoughts in the comments.
Now we're going down a bit of a dip and then we go up a rise, but the rise has steps, so we'll check that one out. That slope was actually quite cool. But let's check out the steps. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
As we climb, I'm going to tell you just one of the many legends of the wall. The tale of the magical brick, which goes back to the Ming Dynasty.
17, 18, 19, 20. I've just started.
Kaizhan was the man in charge of calculating exactly how many bricks it would take to finish the job, and he confidently told his supervisors that the construction would need exactly 99,999 bricks.
74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79.
His supervisor was skeptical, however, and declared that if Yi got it wrong by even one brick, there would be a serious penalty.
151, 52, 153. Got a bit of a plateau here and then there's more steps. This is worth every breath.
When they finished building, the workers discovered there was exactly one brick left. The supervisor was about to lay down the punishment, but Yi proclaimed that this remaining brick wasn't a miscalculation at all, but was gifted by a supernatural force as a blessing to stabilize the fortress.
250, 216, 217. I think I'm just in the sky now. And the steps are getting deeper, deeper and deeper. So you're having to take bigger steps each time.
Yi had it placed in a tricky spot on a ledge above the gate, and he and the workers were saved from punishment.
I've lost count. I was talking to you. I'm going to go with about 247, 248, 249. Ooh, nearly fell down the Great Wall of China. I made it. I'm thinking 300. I did lose count. But of course there's more and more and more.
Fortunately, there are rails to hold on to as you walk up. But another tip is to make sure you are wearing decent walking shoes when you get on your plane trip, if you are planning on taking advantage of this magnificent opportunity. And my next tip, you don't want to be bringing your heavy carry-on luggage with you to the wall. So when you book in for the tour at the trip.com counter, ask them to show you where the airport locker storage counter is. It's not far and it's quite affordable.
I just need to sit down for a bit, catch my breath. I've done a bit more steps, many more steps, but those ones are deep and they're not even, so yeah, it's hard work. You can't argue with this. This is a world wonder.
Well, actually, the Great Wall of China is officially recognized as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, but it is not one of the original classic 7 wonders of the ancient world. Another myth is the idea that you can see the Great Wall of China from space. But the truth is, it's actually pretty narrow, and its color blends in with the surrounding landscape. Astronauts have confirmed that you really can't spot it with the naked eye.
Okay, my legs are actually shaking now because I kind of like beetled all the way down. I went down really fast because I was worried about time. But actually an hour and a half, which is what they give you on this free tour, is enough to get you up to that 4th tower. Bearing in mind that the crowd gets thicker and thicker as the day goes on, so coming back down again, you're pushing against a bigger tide, and it is a little bit harder. Like, you won't have time really, otherwise you'll end up like me with your legs all shaky. So time that out. I am very, very warm. I really didn't need my jacket. Glad I left it in the bus, and I'm really glad I took the lady's advice and left my cabin luggage in a locker at the airport, because I don't want to be lugging that up and down.
I was here in late September, and while the early morning started with mist and fog, it had totally cleared by the time we arrived at the wall. I also thought the crowds were quite manageable. Apparently the busiest time at the wall is during the summer months, especially July and August, when school holidays bring in huge domestic crowds. So for a more peaceful experience, you want to aim for the shoulder seasons of spring and autumn.
You may have people stop and want to take your photo. It's all good. They'll speak to you in Chinese, they don't mind, and they will say 谢谢, thank you afterwards. So just a quick photo, why not? Lady just stopped me to take a photo. I think she's probably going to zoom in on my little red cheeks there, strawberries. Whew, I'm puffed. I'm running out of words. I am so overwhelmed with this experience, this opportunity that I did not think I was going to get. And to do it for free on top of all of that is just incredible. Although to be fair, I truly wouldn't have minded paying. That is well worth it. Have I said incredible? Have I said amazing? Have I said awesome? Have I said mind-blowing? Have I said stunning? I should have bought a thesaurus.
Thank you for joining me on this incredible opportunity. I really hope you get to do this for yourself. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments below.
Please check this out on trip.com. It's no affiliates, no sponsorship. I'm not being paid for this. I seriously just stumbled across it as I was coming through the airport arrival lounge. Saw the sign, went, is this for real? It is. I cannot recommend this enough.
For now, I've got another 12-13 hours on a plane as I continue my journey back home to New Zealand, where I'll be filming more vlogs. So I'm hoping you will hit subscribe and the notifications bell to join me there too. Until then, happy travels everyone!